Quake Champions. Do you like it? Should you love it? The answer is yes. Here we go.
Humiliation.
What is going on, YouTube? This is Jim, back with another video, and today I am so excited to finally be able to talk to you all about Quake Champions. I got into the beta a little over a month ago, but due to the NDA, I was not able to stream it or show any videos about it. As of yesterday, that has been lifted, and of course, I jumped at the opportunity to put together a video for you guys. Here we go. I love Quake, and over the next 20 minutes or whatever this video is, I'm going to tell you guys all the things I love about it, all the things I don't like about it, and all the things I think you should be excited about, more importantly. There is a very busy first-person shooter lineup that exists, that will exist. This is pre-E3. We don't know what is coming just yet. And we have to really understand that when Quake launches, which I do believe will be this year, there's going to be a lot of competition out there. And I have to do the best I can as a super fan to tell you guys and convince you guys why it matters. But I'm not doing the video solely based on that. I'm doing the video because Quake means so much to me as a gamer. And I did a brief video about it before, but I'm going to do it again because it is important to me. Quake 3 Arena is the first game that taught me how to play a first-person shooter on the computer competitively. I had dabbled in Counter-Strike, I had dabbled in Team Fortress, but it wasn't until my sophomore year in college that I met my friend Tariq. And Tariq, the coolest dude I've ever met from Barbados, took me under his wing, so to speak, and over the next 3 years, every single day, him and I played Quake 3 Arena ad nauseum. And I learned so much from him. Rocket jumping, circle strafing, keyboard settings, mouse settings, every single thing that it took to be good, he taught me. And I owe a lot of my gaming lineage, so to speak, to him. So this is just a shot of nostalgia to me, knowing that Quake is coming back. A proper entry in the Quake series is returning. And that is what Quake Champions is trying to be. Now, I don't think I need to sell you on my nostalgia to show you that this game is absolutely gorgeous. You're seeing the gameplay now. What I always loved about Quake, and particularly Quake 3 Arena, was how balanced everything was. I love that in any instance, whether it was the machine gun, or the shotgun, or the rocket launcher, or the railgun, they all had distinct strengths and weaknesses about them, whether it was damage, or fire speed, or aiming, whatever it happened to be. Each one of those weapons had a unique strength and weakness, and in any fight, you could win if you knew how to counter your opponent's weapon while at the same time it pressing your own advantage. And I think that's so important because this game does that so well. And, you know, I think back to the big rivalry back in Quake 3 Arena, and it was Unreal Tournament. And I think that Unreal Tournament definitely had an edge on Quake in terms of just visceral frame rates and just snap your head back graphics. I think they've incorporated a lot of that into this, kept the great weapon balance system, and I think you have a great game here. So this game is best described as an Overwatch hero shooter. And I use Overwatch because so many people are familiar with what Overwatch is, where you have a class-based, a hero-based system, not a class-based system, where each hero has unique abilities, who has unique HP, strengths, and weaknesses, and that have to be used in certain situations in order to succeed. Where Overwatch, I feel, fails, and where I feel Quake is actually going to, appeal to a lot of people, is the weapons in Overwatch aren't necessarily balanced against each other. So you guys know Lucio's auto attack. No matter how good of a player you are not going to beat, let's say, a Bastion who's locked down in Sentry mode. Now, yes, that is quite a comparison I'm making here, but the point is there are certain situations that you will just not win. It does not matter who you are. And I feel where Quake Champions really excels is they take that really defined and balanced weapon system, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit here, and they add this layer of ability and some uniqueness to each hero on top of it, but it doesn't break the weapon balance system. That is the core of the game. So I think that's important to note, and I think that is the biggest distinction. There are a slew of heroes right now in Quake Champions. I'm sure there are going to be more. There are, you know, they're still in the beta right now. Obviously, the NDA is just lifted. We don't have a launch date. We do know it's going to be free to play. That's about all we know. I suspect it's coming out this year, and they're going to do that model where every couple months they release a new champion, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm hoping to get attendance at Bethesda's E3 press conference, or if nothing else, I will be watching from my hotel room in Los Angeles, eagerly awaiting any news I can see on this game, because I feel like it's close. id, who is the making this game, you know, the people who are making this, have always had a great reputation of very technically balanced games. Doom was a success on so many levels. I'm talking the original Doom. I'm talking the Doom that just came out, you know, recently, the new rebranded Doom, because of their weapon balance system. And I think id has always done an amazing job of that, and I feel like they carry that tradition to here. So on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see right now I'm using the machine gun. I'm not particularly thrilled with a couple things about the HUD. I don't like that the weapons are off on the right-hand side, because I just told you guys that I do believe the focus of this game is not on your heroic ability or your whatever they want to call it. That's dominant on my HUD right now, that giant F. That's my heroic ability, right? That's not the focus of the game. The focus of the game is those weapons on the right-hand side that are color-coded, that are very easy to determine at a quick glance what you have, how many bullets you have. Super easy to wheel through, quickly pick weapons up. All weapons don't have any kind of secondary fire or any of that stuff. The right mouse click is always zoom. The left mouse click is always shoot. I don't like that that's off to the side. And despite where it is, though, the weapons work very well. You have, you know, your traditional machine gun, you have your shotgun, a nail gun, a rocket launcher, a lightning gun, and a rail gun. Now, as the latest expansion, or the latest patch that just came out, which the one I'm playing to right now, this came out on the 12th of May, 2017. They changed a little bit of how the lightning gun works. You actually have to hold it down for a second, and it kind of spools up and then does some damage. Not a big fan of that. Every other weapon in the game is pretty much an instant fire, with the exception of the railgun has a little bit of a cooldown, but that makes sense because it is such a heavy weapon in terms of, you know, just total damage that it can output compared to anything else in the game. Anyways, weapon balance is key. I've said it 100 times. I think it matters. And I think that they've done a really good job. I don't ever feel like I'm outgunned. I don't ever feel like I'm going into a fight and I'm like, oh man, all I have is the stupid machine gun up against whatever, I'm going to lose. Because with the machine gun, it does consistent damage at any range. There's no damage penalty if you fall off and back up. So if you're at close range in a hallway with a guy and he's shooting rockets at your face, like that guy was just to me and killed me, you could say, well, geez, I'm going to back up because now I'm taking away his advantage of the rocket launcher. Rockets are slow. They take a long time to shoot. Yes, they have big splash damage, but you can see them coming. You can move. You can react. That's the kind of stuff I talk about when I talk about weapon balancing and why that is important, because you could win that engagement. And there are other instances in this video. This is just some recording that I'm talking to after the fact. There are some other instances you'll see where I do just that. And it's important to switch weapons and understand kind of like what your weapon is currently doing and where you're at situationally. And I think that's what really separates this game from a lot of other games. And I like that. I think that's important. That's why it confuses me that in the bottom center of the HUD, which is really your prime real estate right below your character holding their weapon, is your hero power. So how hero powers work is there's a timer, and it's as simple as that. The timer counts down, and when the timer hits 0, you get to use your cool ability. There are power-ups. You've seen me collect them in the game. They look like little yellow hourglasses that will reduce the amount of cooldown, and then you can spam your weapon a little bit faster. I am playing a Sorlag. Sorlag is by far my favorite character. I've always loved Sorlag, and I think she is amazing. A lot of these characters have some sort of lineage to characters in Quake 3 Arena. I am hoping for Uriel he, by far, this demon, he was a boss in in Quake 3 Arena, was so cool. You fought him on this level, it was all this mist, and you really couldn't see him, and he had just an insane amount of HP, and I always played Uriel, so I'm hoping Uriel makes a return, but we'll see. They're still announcing more heroes. Or in Champions, we'll have to see kind of what plays out. But going back to sword lag, my heroic ability is when I press F, and it's blinking, it's telling me it is ready for prime time. You will spit out a blob of this acid that will hurt all the enemies in an area. And I just did it right there, and you can see them all getting poisoned. You see the ticking over their head. That is because it does an area of effect damage over time. It's really, really cool. It's not going to kill anyone. It's not a one-shot type ability. It will hurt. It will complement your ability, your shooting. That's something you have to consider when you play with sword lag, because depending if you put it in a hallway, there's a better chance an enemy is going to walk through it. They can actually spread the virus to other enemies, and you can basically infect the entire team, which is really, really cool. I like that a lot. But that's just one of the many abilities. There are other abilities. There are characters that charge. They turn into like this bull and they run really fast. And if they run into you, that could be an insta-kill if they wind up their charge long enough. Anarchy is particularly interesting. He's a character, you'll see him in the next match that I play. He has a hoverboard, and the hoverboard allows him to do really tricky mid-air jumps and change his momentum and his movement very, very quickly. In addition, he can get his health back at any time by injecting himself with this serum that not only gives him back all his HP, but permanently increases HP by a small amount. The disadvantage, however, is that he has a very small HP pool to begin with. So it's not like he's going to have 150 HP to start with. He currently has 70, I believe, or 65. They balanced it slightly. So there are lots of different, there's a variety of heroes to choose from. The traditional Quake guy, so to speak, the guy that you played with in the original Quake, the Ranger. In Quake 3, he was Sarge. They've just kind of named him Ranger now. They put his helmet back on. His ability is a teleportation disc, which is pretty cool. You could do those really cool teleportations where you teleport across the map and then suddenly you're there. You could also teleport into an enemy, and if you teleport inside of them, it's an instant kill, which is really, really fun. So there are trade-offs on everybody. You know, certain heroes are better than others with particular, with abilities, and they do have 3 different stats. All heroes have total HP, total armor allowed, and movement speed. Each hero also, is balanced in that sense, where not everyone is particularly good at certain things. In a dead sprint, for example, Anarchy will beat Sorlag in a dead sprint. So if I'm chasing an Anarchy and he has low health, there's a pretty good chance that I'm not going to be able to get to him because he's just going to run away. So got to keep that in mind as well. It's important. And that's what worries me about the game. Everything that I've said and praised about the weapon balance and some of the other mechanics, which I haven't yet talked about, in a minute. That's what worries me about the game, is this new inclusion of these heroic stats. I still maintain, and I still firmly believe, that Quake weapon balancing is going to compensate and override most of those things. And just knowing your weapon and knowing how to play it and knowing how to shoot and, be in good situations, I think is going to really help you in the long run. And I think that even though Anarchy runs faster than Sorlag, and even though that, certain character like Nyx can teleport or can become invisible, I don't think that matters. I think that knowing where to aim and shoot and kind of where to stand and what weapons they have, and like, oh, he has a shotgun, I better back up. I have a ranged weapon, I better put it to use. Or I'm going to push the advantage with a shotgun because I think he doesn't have a, whatever it happens to be. These are just snap judgments. All these encounters happen in less than a second. It's very, very rapid. You're seeing just how, fast this game could be. And by the way, I'm running it on VSync, so I'm locked at 60 frames a second. But when I pull it off, I'm getting 130, 140 frames a second. It is so fast. It's a true 120 hertz experience, or 144 hertz experience. They've been advertising that pretty extensively since its inception. But back to the character balancing thing. I think it matters because you have to be really mindful that, minor changes to characters can have drastic effects. And you don't want to break the game. You really want to put the control in players' hands. Blizzard has done an atrocious job, and I've been a very big critic of them, despite the fact I am in love with their games, of balancing. We first saw this in World of Warcraft. We've seen it extensively in Heroes of the Storm. We're seeing it in Overwatch now. Blizzard has a very hard time figuring out what they want to do. And they constantly change what they think a character should be. I hope for id's sake and for my sake when this game comes out, because I'm going to be playing a crap ton of it, I really hope that they have a good understanding of what they want each character to be, so that we don't get these, reworking of characters because the vision has changed, or because characters, because we're playing them differently than they were intended to be played. I hate that. If Sorlag is meant to be a mid-range bruiser type that has, a little beefier HP and a little beefier armor, and at the sake of movement speed, then let's own that and let me adapt my playstyle to that. But don't come along and say, well, maybe he should be a little faster. Maybe we like him more as a tank. I keep saying him. It's actually her, but whatever. More as a bruiser type role, or more of a, like an anarchy type where you're doing a lot of little ranged, attacking, and you're just kind of, harassing enemies. That's what scares me when you get into balancing. And I hope that they have figured this system out. I have yet to see any game developer, honestly, when you have this many variables from weapons and from abilities and that sort of thing, accurately kind of put together a good, approach to this. We'll have to wait and see. But it's just one more variable that they added. And that, if anything, that's the one thing I'm not particularly thrilled of. But I know they're not going to get rid of this system because it is called Quake Champions. I mean, it's in the title. It's not called Quake 4 or just Quake. It's Champions, and the emphasis is on the champion and the individuality that each champion has and what they can and can't do. So we'll have to see how that plays out. That's probably my biggest criticism. Everything else about this game, I absolutely love. I love the gore. I love the background music, which you're not hearing right now. I love the sound effects. I love the way the HUD is laid out in terms of giving you good information on all your weapons. I just wish maybe the weapons were at the bottom and the power up was on the right hand side instead of the inverted. But I like that the weapons are color coded, so it's very easily for me to determine what weapons are what. I play a lot of other games where you're kind of like trying to figure out what the weapon is. I haven't seen anybody take it this simple with color coding. And I know that's funny, but that's a very simple thing. And going back to my beloved Quake 3 Arena, those guys did make an overly simplified HUD. Extremely simplified HUD. To the point that when I first played it, I thought it was some kind of joke. I was like, where's all the cool bells and whistles? I want all the neat special effects and all this kind of... But they took all that out because they don't want you to focus on that. They want you to focus on the core gameplay. They want you to focus on this snapping, visceral, like knee-jerk, twitching type shooting, which is what these games are famous for. And when you make just big green icons and big blue icons and very simple color coding things, that's exactly what you get. And that's awesome. So I think it's going to be an amazing game when it comes out. I'm not particularly overly impressed or unimpressed with the free-to-play model. I wouldn't mind just paying a price for a game and just having all the characters available and being done with it. It makes me think that balancing is going to have to be on one of their, kind of the forefront of their mindset, because when you make a free-to-play model, dip, potato chip, when you make a free-to-play model, you're basically, you're basically walking into it saying, oh, by the way, not every character is going to be available for everybody. So we're going to have to make every character like really matter, and I'm like, okay, I guess I can understand that. I just worry that, maybe they overthink it, and we'll have to wait and see. But they're going to have loot chests and loot boxes and cosmetic items, and you can use real money to buy characters, and you can get duplicates of things and shard them and just buy things directly outright with shards. So it's very traditional to every other kind of free-to-play system we've seen. There's not a lot of originality here, and I don't think there needs to be. So if you're familiar with any free-to-play game, you're probably going to dive right into this and understand exactly what you can and can't do. They have said that they are going to be selling a full copy of the game, which will have a more traditional-esque experience. I suspect all the characters will be unlocked. I suspect that you'll probably get a bunch of loot crates or whatever for, you know, investing. That's something I'll be doing. And if they make a collector's edition, I'll lose my freaking mind and I will get that too if they have it. I would love a statue of Ranger on my desk. That would be so cool. I spent so long playing those Quake games that the Ranger and me are just pals. And if you want to make him Sarge, that's cool too. Or Uriel, whatever you guys want. Call me if you want, and I'll help you out. So you'll see here now with the match being complete, we got our victory. Kumbaya, we won. This is the new game mode, by the way. Sacrifice, which is kind of like Control, but you have to carry a disc to a certain control point and hold it. It's kind of a combination of capture the flag and domination or control point type maps. I feel like it's kind of like a little hybrid of that. It's cool. There are still 2 new game modes, by the way, that haven't yet been revealed to us. So we'll have to wait and see what those are. But you'll see here after a quick loading screen, it takes you back to the main menu, and you know, you have to queue up for another match. It shows you all your rewards, all your medals, all the money you got, all the great things you can do. You can go out and buy a new customization. You could get loot boxes, whatever you want to do. It gives you your weapon statistics. Pretty standard stuff, but it's good enough. I mean, there's definitely, you know, enough information here as a, you know, player who wants to get better to understand what they need to work on, and you know, your accuracy and all that great stuff. So that I do like. And then you get to see here your scoreboard, all that statistics. The statistics are pretty nice. Shows you each of the power-ups in each level too. What weapon people use. Right now the rocket launcher is a pretty hot weapon, and I think it'll always be because it's pretty versatile. Kill percentages, accuracy, how long you were alive, blah, 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 blah. Lots of good stuff there. Lots of juicy information if you want to dive into that. So, onto the game modes. I think this is something that they do a good job at, and I hope to see more of this. And what I mean is they have really nailed down the core game modes. You have deathmatch, team deathmatch, duel, and sacrifice, with the 2 coming soons off on the right. We don't know what those are going to be yet. As I mentioned, sacrifice just came out yesterday on the 12th, so a lot of us are still trying to figure out what the hell it is. Now in Quake, deathmatch is free-for-all. That's how it's always been. So that is you versus the world, get in an arena, kill everything that moves. That's a lot of fun, very hectic. Team deathmatch is what most people now consider deathmatch. That's where you play in a team. First to a set number of kills wins the match. You work together, friendly fire, you can't hurt each other. Duel is 1 versus 1, and I'm going to focus on that in a second. And then lastly, sacrifice. Sacrifice is what I was saying. It's a kind of a combination of capture the flag. You have to get this orb, bring it back to a certain control point, and hold it in order to earn points. The enemy has to kill you, grab the control orb, take it back to their point, and it kind of creates this attack defense, camping, not camping system. It's a lot of fun. It's a very interesting mode that I think has some really cool merit to it. But Duel. Duel, I think, is particularly fun because Duel really answers the question that the point rather, that I've been making this entire video. That even though there's champion abilities, you don't necessarily have a disadvantage over any other champion because Duel is going to put you one-on-one. Now, Overwatch has tried to do dueling in a limited capacity, and it sucks. As I mentioned, I don't care how good you are. If you are a mismatched character, you're toast. A Soldier 76 who's good at everything is going to handily beat most specialty type heroes. A Mercy or maybe not a Tracer, but you get the point. Duel says in Quake, we're going to put our money where our mouth is. You're going to go 1 versus 1 with another hero, and you're going to fight in a map, and that's it. Now, they do a kind of drafting system where only 1 hero is allowed. There's not many heroes to pick from. There's no bans, not that it really matters anyway. The order you pick the heroes in is the order that they come to. You play with them. When you die, you instantly spawn as the next hero in your lineup, and you continue on until there are no heroes remaining, in which you are declared the winner or the loser, depending on if you are the last man standing or not. There's not a lot of strategy to this because there really doesn't need to be. Does you know, does somebody play better against Ranger? Does Anarchy play better against Ranger than Sorlag? Or not really. So it doesn't really matter. But it is a fun mode, and I do like it. So with Duel, all the rules apply, all the weapons are in there, but again, when you die, that's it. Now, what I like about Duel is that it really forces you to have good map awareness and to really know where power-ups and weapons are, because you're going to need them. You'll see here through the course of this duel, there's a lot of times that me and the enemy will kind of meet in the center and we'll fight. And neither of us will win, but neither of us will want to press the advantage because we're both pretty low on HP. And both of us will turn around and run away. So you get these build-ups where you kind of pick up on the armor and you pick up health and you pick up rockets and you're like ready for war. And you say, okay, now we're going to fight. And this is, this is our predetermined, like, we're going to throw down and then, oh, I didn't win, better back off and move away. So you'll see how that kind of plays out here. And you'll see that, you'll see how it works. Now, Scale Bear, he was the hero I was telling you about that as the Bull Rush. And I pull off a pretty sick Bull Rush here. A little bit later on, you'll get to see it. I mean, that is the Bull Rush right there. I didn't kill anybody with it, but very, very powerful ability. One of the heroes that does have an instant kill type ability is him when his meter is up to full. So stay tuned for that. But the nice thing is, like I said, this really shows me that they care, that they understand that heroes shouldn't break the game. The game should be designed around the combat that we're used to and the fighting that we're used to. And if you want to attack on the hero system, great. There's been a lot of talk on Reddit and on the various forums that I participate in very actively that they may release the 5th version or the 6th version that they have yet to release may be a vanilla version where they drop all the stats and they just have heroes with a standard health bar. Everybody has like 100 HP and hero abilities are disabled. And that would be really, really cool. I would like that a lot. We'll see if they do that or not. Remains to be seen. I believe the Bull Rush is right here and squished like grape. And he even writes, I think he writes, hey man, that was awesome. Nice one. And I say, thanks, brah. So, pretty cool. I love the ambiance of these worlds. I love the graphics. I love that it's very smooth experience. If there's anything I could critique about the game outside of my concern over the hero balancing, over my concern with a little bit of the HUD placement, it's that I don't want to see, I do want to see, rather, some tighter animations with the heroes. You'll notice that in a lot of instances, and I first noticed this playing Halo 5, where they had a limitation on the processing power of the Xbox One, where they made characters look really bad at distance. This game kind of does that, where characters, when they run around, it doesn't look very natural. Now, the hitboxes seem pretty solid. I have yet to really encounter anything where I felt like, I was at a big disadvantage in terms of, like, I couldn't tell where people were at. If I miss my shot, it's solely my fault. I don't have anyone to blame but myself. And I'm okay with that. It's just me not being a great player. It's nothing with the game. But it could look prettier. And when you look at this, the attention and the detail that went into everything and how simple yet elegant everything looks with, very detailed map design, nice sight lines, nice, distinct areas of the map, the way the weapons are colored, the way that your character bobbles the weapon, all that great stuff that really does sell this ambiance. You're going up against characters who run around that look kind of weird. And maybe that's the motivation of, like, hey, we want to kill you. We want you to kill people because it looks so dorky. I'm joking, obviously. But the point is, like, it doesn't look right. And I think that's something they need to tighten up. And I know it's a beta, so I can't be overly critical. But at the same time, maybe I need to be. Maybe this is stuff that people just assume is going to get fixed, and it's not. So that's kind of why I keep bringing it up. Anyways, what else can I say about Quake that I haven't already said? I guess not too much. I'm eager for this game to come out. I guess in closing, you know, this deep dive I wanted to do on this. I may do more gameplay videos on this too. I don't know. I had so much that I thought about when I was playing this game. I went from loving it to hating it to didn't like the field of view to loved it to it's too fast to it's too slow. I guess the best way I could describe Quake and what is so important to me about this game is when I'm playing it, I'm sitting here and I'm grinning and I'm enjoying my time. When I played Doom, partially because, I shouldn't say partially, largely in part due to that really aggressive soundtrack, I feel very similar to that in Quake, where I feel like this is really intense. This captures my attention. I really want to perform well in this. And when I mess up, I'm mad at myself, but it's, again, not because the game screwed me up, because it has bad refresh rate, because the servers are laggy. None of that, no. It's because I didn't do a good job. And I think that's what makes this game so special to me, is that it does have all those systems in place. And it does really, you know, it does really balance itself out well enough that, you know, it matters. And I think that having that in place really does distinguish it. And I'm so tired of like Heroes of the Storm and Overwatch and even any of the Ubisoft games right now, like For Honor. I'm so tired of this like flavor of the month character where they say, well, you know, this guy's got a huge buff or a nerf. That is a major problem. That is a major problem in games today, and it is not getting better. It's extremely frustrating that we live in an era where we can't figure out how to balance games. But I look back to my time with Quake 3 Arena, and I look at what I'm seeing in this game, and I think that that's going to stop. Yes, they're going to patch exploits. Yes, over time, they're probably going to tune characters slightly positive or negative. But I think that the groundwork that they have to start with is really solid, and I love that. And I can't wait to see kind of how this evolves, to see what new heroes come, to see what new, you know, modes and stuff are put into this game, because I think it's a solid platform to work on. And that, if anything to take away from any of my ramblings, is that I think id is the king when it comes to competitive shooters. I think they've always been. I think Doom really, though the multiplayer is a little different, I'll just leave it at that, the single player experience in that was phenomenal. And they're capturing that magic in a multiplayer environment with characters, with unique personalities, and I feel like they're on the right foot. So here's to you guys. I hope this game continues to be awesome. You guys know when new stuff comes out, I'm going to be talking about it. If you did get into the beta and you want to play with someone, look me up, vypermajik. I would love to throw down with you. I've probably logged, I'd say 20 hours on average a week during the betas, writing up reports for the, you know, not reports per se, but just feedback on the forums and all that kind of stuff. So I'm very heavily invested in this world, and I'm eager to see where it goes. So, yeah. So if you want somebody to play with, look me up. I would love to, you know, accept the challenge, some duelage, and have a good time. So there you have it. A little bit different than my normal videos. Not me sitting in front of the camera. A little deeper dive on something that is very important to me. You will see more of this, though. So if you like it, leave a thumbs up. If you don't, leave a thumbs down. Comment, rate, subscribe, or not. That's okay. As always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Do me a favor and get out there and play some video games. It is a rainy weekend. Enjoy it sitting in front of your computer or your PlayStation or your Xbox or your Switch or your Dreamcast. As always, I want to thank you guys so much. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side. P.S. I won. Proof.